Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Dion. This is D Maria Reacts. I am filming from a different part of my house, and so I'm going to see how this works. Right now I don't have my ring light and all of that set up. It's still fairly sunny outside, but let's check out what Miss Kamala, Vice President Kamala, has been up to here recently.
At a rally in Pennsylvania, former President Trump recently told women, "You will be protected and I will be your protector." What do you make of that?
So he who, when he was president, hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did just as he intended, and there are now 20 states with Trump abortion bans, including bans that make no exception for rape or incest, which we just discussed, which means that you're telling a survivor of a crime of a violation to their body they don't have a right to make a decision about what happens to their body next.
They always argue the outliers. So, many of y'all don't know me. The vast majority of you don't, but I am a staunch pro-lifer. And what I notice about people who are pro-choice, and anybody from the Democrat camp, they always are trying to spook and scare you into something all the time. They always argue the outliers when it comes to this whole baby deletion. And so the most extreme cases, they will project and put that up like, like that's the main thing. They will outright lie. There is a young lady who recently, unfortunately, lost her life, and both Kamala and her VP select have incorrectly stated that this young lady passed away because of the Trump bans that are in place, when the fact of the matter and the truth of the matter is took the baby deletion pill and she suffered some complications from that. Whenever you are taking that medication and all the contents, normally I would just say this outright, but this is YouTube, so but I'll just say, when the womb contents have not been completely eliminated and there are remnants of the deletion attempt left behind, it will lead to the type of problem this young lady had, which is she became toxic. Sepsis set in because the toxins from the remnants that were left behind got into her bloodstream, and she suffered from those complications, and that is why she was unalived. It's not the story that you will hear from VP Kamala and from Tim Walz. But continuing.
No exception for rape or incest, which we just discussed, which means that you're telling a survivor of a crime of a violation to their body they don't have a right to make a decision about what happens to their body next, which is immoral. So this is the same guy that is now saying that. This is the same guy who said that.
And by the way, there is no Trump ban. That's her wording.
That women should be punished for having abortions. This is the same guy who uses.
The only way a woman will be punished is if the law is broken. Just don't break the law. If they're not permitted in the state where you are because your state chose for that to be the case, then you will have to leave and go to another state that does accept it.
It's the kind of language he does to describe women. So, yeah, there you go.
I do want to focus on abortion for a moment because 2 years ago, Roe v. Wade was overturned and women lost their constitutional right to an abortion. I put out an episode about it. I flew to North Carolina. Yeah. I went to a preferred women's health center. I met with women that were getting screamed at and chanted at and called baby killers. And it was the most eye-opening experience I've ever had because I am a privileged white woman that lives in Los Angeles, and I am so aware of that. I understand that a lot of the younger generation sees things online and is like, what is right, what is wrong, what is real, what is not. Can you explain and talk about what is actually happening to abortion access right now in this country?
Yeah. So again, I thank you for what you've been doing and at the earliest stage of this and following the stories. So, you know, on public policy, I often tell my team, look, I don't want to hear about public policy is a fancy kind of speech or paper. Tell me how it'll affect a real person. So let's talk about how it affects a real person. The majority of women who receive abortion care are mothers. So if she's in a state, and by the way, every state in the South, except for Virginia, has an abortion ban, okay? So imagine she's in a state with an abortion ban. 1 out of 3 women are, by the way, in our country. And she's a mom. So she's going to have to figure out, one, God help her if she has affordable childcare. God help her if she has paid leave. And then she's going to have to go to the airport, stand in a TSA line, sit on a plane next to a perfect stranger, to go to a city where she's never been, to receive the care she needs. She's going to probably have to get right back on that plane because she's got those kids. Her best friend's probably not with her because that's who's taking care of the kids. To get back in that TSA line, to get back on a plane, to go home.
And that's all if they can even afford the plane ticket or the bus ticket.
Exactly.
Because when Roe v. Wade was overturned, I remember my DMs were flooded with thousands of women begging me to help. And it's overwhelming. And I can't even imagine, I'm saying that in front of you, but it's overwhelming. And I remember people begging me like, I just need to afford a bus ticket so I can get out of this abortion desert that I live in the South so I can get to a state. But they can't even, you know what I mean? So it's like these people are literally landlocked into a position that they don't want to be.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing is that you don't have to abandon your faith or deeply held beliefs to agree.
Oh, here she goes.
The government shouldn't be telling her what to do. If she chooses, she'll talk to her priest, her pastor, her rabbi, her imam, but not the government telling you what to do. And that's what's so outrageous about it, is a bunch of these guys up in these state capitals are writing these decisions because they somehow have decided that they're in a better position to tell you what's in your best interest than you are to know what's in your own best interest. It's outrageous.
It's outrageous. I mean, daddy gang, to put it in our TikTok terms, I have seen girls on the street walk up to men and be like, do you know where a tampon goes? Do you know how many tampons we use? Do you even know how, like, do you know what a X or Y or Z is of a part of our, and they don't know the answer.
I was the first vice president or president to ever in office go to a reproductive health care clinic ever.
Whoop-de-doo.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that, but I guess that makes sense.
A baby deletion mill.
To your point.
And yet the men are making the decisions about our bodies.
And here's the other thing about this point, it's about IVF treatments and access. It's about access to contraception, which is very much at risk with these folks. It is about, back to the point about reproductive health clinics. You know what those clinics also do? They do PAPs. They do breast cancer screenings. They do HIV testing.
Do that.
And they're having to close in many places with these bans.
There are
So
health
think
clinics
about the
that do
fact
those same
that for
things.
anyone who has gone to one of these clinics, you understand that it is sometimes the most trusted place where people receive that kind of health care, because they walk into those places that are generally staffed by people who create a safe place for people to come in without judgment.
Please, you can go to your local clinic, your local neighborhood clinic, and have those services done, minus the baby deletion services. So they always try to use these fear tactics, and when you don't know any better, then those fear mongering tactics will work. But if you have a little bit of understanding of what's truly going on, then you'll know not to fall for the kind of nonsensory that this lady is speaking.
So anyone seeking any kind of reproductive health care and wanting to go to a place where they feel safe and without judgment, these clinics have often been the place that people can go.
Why would you fear judgment if you're going to get a mammogram?
And many of them are having to close because of these laws.
I was raised Catholic, and abortion is a sin. And when I put out that episode, I had a lot of women reach out to me saying like, wow, I live in the South and I never thought about it that way. Like, maybe I am pro-choice because I won't get an abortion because of my religion,
right.
But why should we control what someone else wants
to do?
And that's
and it's interesting, Alex, to your point, what I'm finding as I travel, people who before 2 years ago, before Roe v. Wade was overturned, people who felt very strong about that they are anti-abortion, are now seeing what's happening and saying, I didn't intend for all this to happen. And I think that's also why in state after state, so-called red states and so-called blue states, when this issue has been on the ballot, the American people are voting for freedom. Because ultimately it's about, look, this is not about imposing my thoughts on you in terms of what you do with your life or your body. It's actually quite the opposite. It's saying the government shouldn't be telling people what to do.
While the world is going to Hades in a handbasket, Israel fighting wars on 4 fronts, and that's international. But here at home, you don't even have to go that far. Here at home, in the Appalachians, in North Carolina, parts of Florida, you all have heard about it. The whole Hurricane Helene. All this is going on, and she's going to a sex show to talk about baby deletion at a time like this. She is not showing herself to be presidential at all. And in my humble opinion, she does not deserve a promotion.